morning guys, so welcome back to NZ Marko Outlaw Kustoms again. So in the last video I've been mucking around with this floor bits and pieces, making all the aluminium trim edges, and then yesterday in the end part of the video, which I'm still editing, went and got some nuts and bolts and screws down here to hold this toe board piece in, so I could get it bolted down to work out exactly what I needed to do here and trim and fit and whatever, make sure these pieces were right. And I think, I don't know, I'm half tempted to make this one again and just make it just a sneak deeper, and mainly at this one side, just because it doesn't quite fit. I'm going to put the aluminium trim pieces back in here, but the gap in that one edge, the end, it's just a bit big, and I've lifted that, like the corner of the floor here. So yeah, the corner of here was too low, so I had to pack that up yesterday. Not sure if I've shown that on the video or not, but I put a wee packer underneath here, a couple thicknesses of plywood. So basically it's just sort of 2 layers, and I run the saw through a piece and just cut a nice little thin piece off, and then poked it underneath there and put the 2 screws back in while I had that out. And that's about right now. It seems to be fairly level. It's about the same, you know, that transitions into this piece here fairly good. It's about the same both sides, so I can't really bring it back any further. Now there is, like I said in the last video, I'm pretty sure there's like a piece of felt or something like that goes on this edge up against here after the aluminum piece is put on the front, wherever that bit is. It might be over here somewhere. So you get the aluminum trim or aluminium trim that goes right round, and then there's a piece of felt that's in here that pushes up against this toe board to help seal, obviously. But I just think this gap is a little wide here, and I think it's probably not bad down this end. It's like there's almost not a lot of gap by the time you put the 2 pieces of, like the piece of in here and then the piece in here. By the time you get to this end, it's not bad. But I think this end, it's probably not that bad either, but it could do to be, I don't know, like the thickness of a saw blade, deeper, all the way from sort of that corner and taper it back to here. Maybe a little bit more than that. Yeah, I think the thickness of that would be too much, but it's not a lot. It's just a little bit to take up that extra bit of space, unless the felt happened to be quite thick, and then you could like push it in there and it would take up that gap. I don't want, I don't want drafts or whatever. Like, these things are drafty enough. So you don't want cold blowing around your feet. If you can avoid, like, you're going to get the heat of the motor and everything coming through here anyway. But yeah, I'm trying to avoid the worst of the drafts for when somebody's driving the thing along. If it happens to be, the day comes up crappy and you've got all the top up and the side curtains in and all that sort of stuff, and you're driving along. So yeah, I'm just debating whether to make this a little bit bigger. I think I might make one and just make it a sneak bigger on this one side, and pop it in there and just see if it fits any better. I can always come back to this one for all it matters. So I'll just mark this end, so I remember which end it is. I'll get over there. But yeah, I might make that and then carry on, and I'll get all these, I'll go get the trim off the back of that other one somehow on the original, so if I can get that off, get all these in, and then we'll make this because I've been trying to make that for a couple of days, but it's taken a few days to get this silly stuff sorted. Oh, and I want to build some braces for underneath here to take the flex out of the stuff. Put a couple of strips, extra strips of something lengthways in it, just to take that bounce out of the floor. Because, you know, if somebody stood on that was fairly solid, it could break. I'd hate to see that happen. But yeah. So, we'll do that. And then I've got to work out these locking pieces and lots of little bits to do. Let's go compare notes. See if that made all the difference. See if that made all the difference. I hope you can see there all right. Deeper in that edge. I think that'll be enough. I think that'll be enough. I think that'll be enough. That'll be enough. Right, get all these other pieces back in here and just make sure that it's still fitting in there. Still need the strip at the back. So yeah, that's quite tight now. A little bit of a gap down there, but by the time you put the falcon there as a giraffe stop, I think that'll be spot on. Because it's quite snug in there now. Especially by the time you get another strip down the back. Just a matter of getting all these corners trimmed, fitted together. Oh, we'll do that, I guess. Alright, I just started trimming the corners off from this stuff, so I can obviously get these ones set up and trim them off. And I just fucking realised I don't have any. I'm gonna have to have a hunt, but I don't think I've got any little screws that I can put in here because they're all little flatheads. Whether it matters or whether I do it with flatheads or not, I don't know. But So they're originally a little tiny flathead, funny little screws, which was in there originally. I'd imagine that's what they're meant to be. So yeah, that might have actually had freaking something on there too, did it? Or was that where the other pieces were? I can't remember. I'm just trying to work out. You know, it definitely had those strips in there. It might have had felt on there too. Maybe like it's had on here or something. But yeah, I need to find some little tiny screws or something like that. I have to go buy something. Because all I've got here is, I've got little nails, but I haven't got anything that's small like that. As in screws, I don't think. Got plenty of little nails and bits and pieces, but nothing like that. So you might have to go do a wee shop, I think. So I can drill them in and put them in. At least then I can take them in and out if we need to adjust anything too. Whereas nails are a bit of a prick to get in and out if you want to, you know, if you need to wriggle in anything, or once you get them all on there you realise you need to adjust something. So yeah, alright, might have to go do that. Alright, I've got some screws. They're not really what I want. There's not much freaking available nowadays. This is what I end up with. Hopefully it's going to do the job. They're a bit bigger than what these are, but God, it's hard to find anything without being able to go back into what the main city that's near us, which is, it's not that far away, but still half an hour each way, and with the price of fuel and everything nowadays, frickin' it's barely worth the frickin' effort unless you're going in there to do several little things. God, frickin', you know, when we come back here, diesel was $1.35 or thereabouts a litre. So, what was it about? It's about 3.8 US, 3.8 litres per US gallon. I think if it's U gallon, it's over 4 litres. Why the US and UK gallon's different, I don't know. But so yeah, and now it's over $2. It's about $2.25 to $2.30 something here, and then you got to pay road tax on top of it. So it's not freaking cheap. You pay $80 or thereabouts for 1,000 kilometres for diesel, because petrol is, or gasoline, like 91. We start at 91, they go 95 and 98 and 100 octane. But 91 is over $3 a litre, but there's no road tax on that. It's built into the fuel. Whereas diesel, because of tractors and stuff that aren't driven on the roads, don't have to pay the road users or the Ks, whereas cars and trucks and stuff that are driving the roads, that's why they've done it like that. Instead of having two different prices for diesel, they just put a separate road tax on it that you got to buy every so many 1,000 kilometres. So yeah, so if you're driving, you know, half an hour there and back, and the kilometres, yeah, it starts to get frickin', especially nowadays, it gets expensive fast. So yeah, I've just got them. They're close enough. They're going to be in here. They're not going to be really seen. Hopefully I can get them to sort of countersink and pull on. I'm going to have to try and, I think when I drill the holes, I'm going to have to try and do a fairly good punch on them without trying to distort this to get them to sit in nice and flat. The other ones weren't terribly big. So yeah, they're not terribly big. I have to draw a reasonable size hole, if you know what I mean. That's a good size hole. You can almost get that, whatever that is, quarter. Is that quarter? Or 5 mils, whatever it is. Yeah, it's 5 or 6 mil, so that's about quarter inch. So that's about a 1/4 inch hole or thereabouts. So yeah, that would still work. And those, drill them and then one to screw in. The other thing, I bought myself a freaking little club hammer while I was there. I wanted a wooden handle one, but they didn't have a wooden handled one. So that's cool, because I've only really got that other one engineering hammer, and I've got one that's got a broken handle that I haven't got around to fixing yet. But the missus wants a basket, a thing to hang a frickin' hanging basket on for some frickin' plants. Because she wants to hang it like out from the corner of the roof. And they're like papery, I wouldn't say papery tiles, but they're that thick, but it's like compressed, like paper cardboard sort of tile, roof ceiling tile, and it's not strong enough to put a hanging screw in or a hook. So I'm going to make something that comes out from the wall, because she wants it out from sort of the corner of the wall. Oh, I don't know, like about this far, so she can hang this freaking thing down. So I'm going to use this old spanner or wrench, and I'm going to make a bracket on it to put it up on the wall and anchor it back, and then she can hang a plant on that. I said, I know what I'm going to do, because I was trying to figure out how I was going to hang it in the roof, and I was like, I'll just make something that goes screws into the wall where it's strong. So I'll clean this up, and I've got some bits of flat here somewhere, and a bit of rod, and I'll make something up that I can screw the wall. Yeah, I've got bits of bar and a few bits of flat and whatever here. We'll soon make something up. So I better do that first. Righty guys, so I'm about to drill some holes in here finally. Oh, yesterday I ended up making that frickin' thing for the missus, and then I went home and hung it up, and it got stupidly hot, and I didn't come back here. So that sort of went out the window. Because I knew if I didn't do something, she would have been fucking done something stupid to frickin' hang it up. But anyway, so I had to make a frickin', I broke this hammer ages, broke the handle on it. So I just made a handle. Unfortunately, when I started cleaning out a piece of wood, it's actually got some borer in it, but if it breaks again, I'll just make another one. I cut about, I've got another 4 sticks there of hardwood that I can make some more handles out of. I just got a piece and then just cut it up, made some blanks for some handles, because I've actually got another hammer here. Another head here that I want to put on. Oh yeah, that one. It's one I found. It's like really old. It's been sitting around somewhere. It's quite rusty and pitted. I'll clean it up at some point. But yeah, I want to make a handle for that too. Quickly at some point. I quite like making stuff like that. You can spend, I don't know, 10, 15, plus dollars or more for a handle, like you got these snap-on type style handles. You can spend frickin' so much money on them. Whereas, I can find an old piece of hardwood and cut it up, and all it's cost me is a bit of time to put it on. I've still got to put a wedge in it, but it's nice and tight. I'll make a couple of little steel wedges later on and put them in there. I probably should have split it and put a wood wedge in there, but I didn't. I just quickly made it and threw it on. Doesn't need the freaking hammer. Because the only other ball thing I've got is that one. So I actually want to freaking get rid of that handle too and put a nice big heavy wooden handle on it at some point. And I've got this cloth hammer too that I bought the other day. nothing wrong with the handle on that either, but I'm not particularly fond of plastic handles. They just, I don't know, I think the wood's nicer to use, just feels better to use. Anyway, I've seen her punch these, so I'm going to drill these holes out and then put some screws in there. I had a quick count up the ones that are in that. There's like 13 or something in there, but I've just put nine in here, which is about 4 inches apart. It's not quite 4 inches, but yeah. So that's what I'm going to do here, and then I'll do the side ones, and I've got to trim the end yet and that sort of thing. That's what I was going to do the other day, but then I ended up making that piece of Rachel to hang a frickin' plant on. So yeah, I've got to stick these in there and trim them off and work out that all too. So I'll get this strip on first, and then I can work on those other bits. Righty, so just trying to figure out how these things how they all butted together, if you know what I mean. Like this piece here, which is on that other main board, which is there, and it's like a T, it comes right to the edge here, like it doesn't sit back. I just try and work all that out, just get it in my head so I don't cut shit wrong and screw myself over. Since I don't really have much spare material. Try and get this stuff right. Hopefully the first time. Most of the time you can, if you just spend a little bit extra time frickin' making sure you are right, if you know what I mean. Just take this off and trim that a little bit harder. Well, that's a trip. Well, I got that other piece off. Just gently pried it off and whatever, eventually got it off. But I think it's actually steel. I actually thought all those little edge pieces were aluminium or aluminum, which is kind of a suck sandwich because I probably could have just used what I had here to make it, but it's alright. We'll just get another piece. I'll put it on there in the meantime, just as a, what do you call it? Just as a reference piece to the rest. But yeah. I was like cleaning it up and sanding it, and I was like, I don't think that's... I just had that look, had that sort of powdery sort of look, like when you look in there, like it almost looks like it could be, if you know what I mean. It's got that funny powdery look that it could have been, you know, really old. And all those other pieces that are on the floor are aluminum, or aluminium. That's what made me think, oh yeah, they'll be all like that. Like, because the centerpiece for the gear stick and the floor panels and all that, the other pieces are all alloy, so yeah, I was like, well, it must be, you know, naturally thought that they were. Maybe not. But anyway, I'll get that on the in-house. I've got it off and straightened it up, and I just, because I thought, oh, I just run over it with a bit of 220 just to clean the crap off, and then I thought I'd just give it a wee buff with the buffing wheel, and I was like, it's not polishing up like aluminium. Yep. Sorry there, guys. But yeah, it's not polishing up like aluminium. Maybe it's not. Because I thought if I start off, oh yeah, it's just so dirty and shitty that it's going to take a bit to clean up. But I think it's just plain old steel. Oh well, that is what it is. Yeah. It kind of had that look, but then now that I look at this one a bit harder too, it just had that white powdery crap on there you get from old alloy, you know, that's dirty and shitty, but yeah, it might have been just steel. Unless these have been remade at some point, if you know what I mean. But it doesn't look like it. But anyway. Yeah, just weird. So I thought the way they were made and all the other pieces on them were, like all the other pieces that went over top of things, were aluminium. I was like, oh, surely they're aluminium. Just, yeah. Doesn't matter. They're aluminium now. Should be right. We'll manage. Right. On that floor piece, don't I? Right, I'll go get it. Not that I really need to be on here, but just save marking up the wood. I mean, it will be covered in something. Right. Yeah. Make sure I get this room the right way. Yeah. Funny. Oh well. Live and learn. wasn't quite right with my diagnosis, but you get that sometimes. Alrighty, so Friday morning I was mucking around on this stuff, and then Friday afternoon was doing something we can't really talk about at the moment, but something, just say that there's 3 YouTube channels working on something big, and we'll see what happens over the next couple of months and just see where everything pans. We're talking to a few different people about something, but I won't go any further than that. So that's what I was doing Friday afternoon. So I'm back here this morning, and where am I at? I'm trying to think what I've been doing this morning. I've put the screws in here. I've been mucking around with all this stuff, obviously. I had to put the little spacer board in there to get this to sit properly. I've drilled the holes in that. I haven't put the 2 screws in there because I don't really particularly need it right at the moment. I'm just trying to get this all to fit properly, make sure I'm right, because I wanted to obviously put these in next. So that's kind of what I've been doing for the last probably hour or so, just mucking around with this crap. Just because I drilled the holes in there, fitted those screws, tightened that up, and then I went to fit that back to this, and then I realised it was, when I pulled the screws up tight, it was sitting queer. So then I had to make that little board fit properly and drill the holes in that. And yeah, basically got back to here basically, because I want to trim this stuff and then fit these. And I wanted to make sure that all was still fitting properly. And I think with this back piece on there now, it's actually, the gap's actually pretty good down there. Like that little bit of felt or whatever we put in between will work quite nicely. Wee bit annoyed though, I got a bit of a gap here, but it's not much I can do about it. It's a little bit short for some reason, I don't know why. Funny how when you measure everything up, it's, you think it's right, but it's a little bit shy. It won't be too bad though. So you're going to fit those next and trim off what I don't need, obviously. I've just been laying this stuff down. I won't trim this until probably get the gearbox and then do a final fit, and then I can unscrew this and do a final trim in here. This side should be alright, I think. If it fits somewhere about there, all I have to do is just nick this off so that can sit down flat here. I might just mark it now, just so I remember to do that at some point. And I'll mark the other pieces over there. I think it was all trimmed off square on this edge. I'm not sure. I'm going to have a quickly look. Where's my other bits? Yeah, it's all trimmed off square. Yeah, so it was all trimmed off square, so I've just got to trim it off at the edge of those bits. That's easy enough. So that's kind of where I'm at there. Oh, I did spray another coat of paint on the inside of that because I realised I'd only sort of put one thin coat in there. So I've done that too this morning. So that's about what I've been doing here. It's been a bit funny the last few days because I've been in and out doing other things and running into town and finding screws and whatever. And then, yeah, we had quite a big meeting between 3 channels yesterday and some other people. So, yeah, that took most of the afternoon, and then the 3 channels had quite a talk after that, about an hour later. So there's some big things happening there, but we can't really say what's going on, but it could be quite interesting. And you're trying to work out, obviously we're talking about me trying to get over there at some point, soonish, hopefully, well, I don't know, it just depends on a couple other things here, but yeah, maybe going over, hopefully, you know, mid to late spring and somewhere in the summer, and then hopefully get back over here or whatever, or stay there permanently after that. We'll just see what happens, or at least organise to stay there permanently in Minnesota, and work on other stuff from there. So yeah, I'm not sure how many more, whether I'm going to get any more cars done here or not. I was hoping to, but we'll see what happens. It's going to be a wee while before I get this finished at this rate. Just waiting on things and chipping away at other things. So I might go start working on that 65 and help them get that a bit further on. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Just depends on what happens in the next sort of month or two with other things going on. But yeah, I think that's where I'll leave it at the moment. When I get some more done here, get a few more things figured out, because I want to put some braces and stuff underneath here. I think I need to do that because it's too springy. I'm just trying to decide how I'm going to do that. I may put something underneath this edge, screw something in underneath here against this, so that can't go down any further. Let's lift this up. Let's lift this up. Like something to support it under here. I just wonder if it needs something under here. Poke out here, like 1/2 an inch, and then maybe add something to the bottom of this to catch that as well, and then add a brace underneath there. Just help stiffen it all up so when you're standing on it, it's not springing all around. So I think that's what I might do next. Just work on that. It's all these sort of little things. You sort of go, yeah, that needs a bit more guts and that, bit more strength than that. So yeah, I think I might do those. So we measure up here, see what I need to put in here, and just doesn't need to be terribly big and terribly deep. Just deep enough and strong enough that I can screw it onto here or glue it onto this piece, and give that some support at the back, and then we can. Because this one here is quite stiff, but it still needs a bit of support. But I think by the time we put a piece across here and here, then stiffen that so it catches on this front edge as well. Because this will be the first piece to go in, and then that piece can lift out afterwards, if you know what I mean, if you want to get underneath. So that's kind of the plan for the next hour or so. Righty, so I've got a brace gluing up in here. We've got I guess you'd call it a brace and a catch for the front piece for this to drop onto, so it can't go below that. And I've got this board in here. I was hoping it was going to be a little bit deeper, but it's not quite. But it's better than nothing. It's still got 3/8 of an inch to catch the back of it, so it's going to support it. You know, like 1/2 an inch might have been better, but it is what it is. So I'm going to let that all glow up. It's lunchtime. So yeah, we'll leave that. I might shoot back down here after lunch, I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so that's all gluing up. So I've got to leave that for at least a good hour or so anyway to glue up properly. That's good stuff, that construction adhesive. Where is it? I don't know whether it's available in other parts of the world. Probably is. Where did I do it? What did I do with it? Over here. It's a Sikaflex Super Grip 30 minutes construction adhesive nail bond. It's great shit. It freaking glues crap together. Like it's glued those, laminated those beams together. So it's pretty strong shit. So yeah, I think you'll break the wood getting it apart. I don't think the glue would ever fail. It'll break you'll smash the wood getting it apart. So yeah, I actually wanted to run it a bit longer, but then I realised I was going to be in the road for these, because these got to go here, and then I thought, oh, I'd rather it a little further forward, but then it's going to foul with this, and I didn't want it too far back, because otherwise you're not doing anything with that other back piece, if you know what I mean. So I wanted some support in the middle. It's got some support at the back, and that's going to have some support at the front. And I don't know, I might add something underneath here, but we've got to be careful that we don't start encroaching on gearbox and transmission and bow housing and all that crap, like, you know, that we don't foul that. So, but yeah, it's had bracing underneath the floor before. Where are the old bits? They run the other way because obviously they had different timber in it, but so it's had bracing that way in it before, but the ply needed it to go that way, not that way, if you know what I mean, to take that spring out of it. So hopefully, I've used ply on ply, hopefully it'll be strong enough. That's just a bit of pine or whatever it is. It's just what I had handy, and I ripped it down with a table saw because it was easier than trying to use that or whatever to get a nice straight piece. So yeah. So this is actually the old one of those. So yeah, I just chopped it up and shortened it and whatever, and just to use it. So we'll leave that gluing, and we'll see you probably either later on today or Monday. Right, morning guys. I'll just freaking tripod so I was out here. Like my tripod, little selfie sticky thingy. So, back here this morning, so I left that all gluing up over the weekend. So that should be well and truly glued up now. So I'll pull those clamps off in a minute. Going to be another awesome day. Probably can't see shit because when I walk outside, but another wicked day. Definitely starting to cool off in the morning. Days are getting shorter, like in the middle of summer, like it would be daylight at like 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 5:30 in the morning. Whereas now the sun's only just coming up about half an hour ago, like it's just after 8 now. So it's probably 7:30 when it starts to break daylight, if you know what I mean. So the days are definitely getting shorter. In the middle of winter, it's still almost, well, it's basically dark at 8 o'clock in the morning, but you know, a few minutes later, it's starting to break light. So, yeah, definitely not in the dead of winter yet, but it's definitely starting to cool off, especially in the mornings. Like it still gets hot during the day, and it's dark again now by 7:30, 8 o'clock at night now. Whereas in the middle of winter, middle of summer, it's like it's still daylight, like barely daylight at 10 at night. So yeah, the days are definitely getting shorter. Summer is disappearing. But, you know, it's still nice. It's still quite nice for at least another 6 weeks, and then it starts really starting to cool off. By the time you get into May, or March now, so April. Yeah, by the time you get into May, it's really start to cool off. You'll still, the first week or two, if it's really sunny, it'll warm up a little bit during the day. Like, it'll be quite pleasant. You'll get a few degrees above freezing here. You know, you might get, say, 10 degrees sort of C, but by the time you get into June, July and August, yeah, if we get a nice day here, it might be, you know, and get heavy frosts, we might get a couple of degrees above freezing, so that's sort of the temperature we get here. But yeah, it can, if we get a real cold snap, heaps of frosts come through, it'll get down below freezing on a regular basis here at night, and even during the day it'll stay down below freezing, but only just. But up country, but when you get up in altitude, yeah, in some places, if they get the whole frost where the fog hangs around all the time, it'll drop down to 10, 15 below quite easy, and it has been down into the 20 C below for a few days before, you know, every now and again too, but that's just about as cold as what it gets here. But if you're further north you go, up into the North Island, if you get a nice sunny day up there, it could be, say, 10 or 15 degrees in the middle of winter, if you get a nice day, you know, once the frost's gone off. But yeah, down here, that can stay below freezing, if you know what I mean. So it's not quite like where Arco is, but they are up in altitude compared to we're almost sea level sort of type thing, you know, a bit above sea level, but not a lot. But anyway, I'll get this floor stuff unpicked, or unclamped. I'll sit that back in there, see how all that works, so I haven't tested any of that shit. Make sure that's still going to work fine, and I'm happy with the strength of it, and then carry on. Oops, I mismeasured a bit. Yeah, I mismeasured a bit. I thought I had this back far enough. It's alright, we can trim a little bit off it. That's all good. There's be a little bit of hassle, but it won't be much. I need to take off each end. She just won't quite go forward enough. I thought I had allowed enough, but obviously not. That's my dumb ass fault for not measuring it properly, and just sort of thought, yeah, that'll be enough. Yeah, no, it wasn't. Oops. Oh, we'll fix that. Righty, so I got these bits back in here. So I just basically just set the depth in that little battery operated circular saw, so it was just deep enough to scrape through that piece, and then we'll just chisel it off with the glue and everything. So this is way stiffer now, but because I didn't put anything through the centre here, it's still a bit flexible at the front here, so I'm just trying to decide what we're going to do there. Need something to tie this and this together when it's just sitting there. Not something permanent, but so you can still lift everything out, because this comes out first. This one here, this comes out first, and then obviously you can get that out, and then you can unscrew that and whatever, if you know what I mean. Or you can unscrew this. It's designed to come out like that. So, but yeah, I just still don't like how flexible that is. This is way stronger, even without that, like with catching on here and that bit of, because it's the grain's running the other way, it's quite a bit stiffer with the two bits there. So that's cool. I'm still got to figure out these lock things. These, still got to work out these yet. So I better call underneath there now that I'm fairly satisfied with how that's working, and just look to see where they are going to catch on the wood and just see what I can do there to make them work. Because they lock the floor in, obviously. Like it's in there pretty solid, but that needs to be finalised and locked in. But yeah, I just would like that a little bit stiffer. You know, you get two people standing up in here to get out or something like that. No, you don't want that weak. It's a fail point, you know. You get a couple of solid blokes in the front of here or something like that, you know, that are a couple of £100 each or bigger, because I'm way more than £200. Somewhere between 200 and 300. But yeah, you get a couple of big boys in here and they stand up on that. You know, if they happen to be put pressure on this piece, you don't want it to break and fail. So I just like to put a little bit more support in there somewhere, somehow. Yeah, not sure what to do there. I don't know whether I should just bring that out a little bit and just put an extra little piece in there, a couple of thicknesses, just to catch that piece when it's putting pressure on there, but I don't know how much more it's going to stiffen it up, actually. Look at this piece of cut out of the centre of that back seat. I might better cut that up and have a longer piece in there and catch that a wee further along. Yeah. No, I just would like to support, obviously put a bit more support in that floor piece and better just catch the edge of that toe board. So when the weight comes on it, or whatever, you know, it's not going to push away. I think by the time it's that aluminum cover is actually nailed or screwed to that underboard, that will stiffen it up a lot too. But yeah, I'm just trying to support it a little bit better. Yeah, pull it out again. I'll remeasure it and might just put a strip of this across the front of it. Right. Phone there. Leave it alone. Righty. So, in such two minds to frickin' try and put extra material on this. I think if I'd made these pieces out of wood, not plywood, you know, made them out of proper timber, I think they would have been stronger. We're just not so flexible. Not to say this stuff isn't strong, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like, this is still fairly, like, even though this is pretty old and it's got a lot of what we call bore in it. Look, I don't know how much that's flexing compared with this. I'm in two minds to double it up, if you know what I mean. Because if I'm going to put this piece on here, I'm half tempted to take this crap off and just cut a double move, like cut a bigger piece out and put it on in one section, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Bit of a pain. Like a can. Just take a little bit of getting off, but and glue a piece of that on it. Give it a quick sand and put a piece of that on it. And poke it out here a little bit so it try and catches that toe board a little bit. Because I just find this stuff's more flexy. It flexes more than standard timber wood. You know, whether I was making it at the beach or whatever. You know. And it is about the same thickness. So I thought these were thicker, but no, they're not. They're about the same. There's no real difference. It might be slightly thicker. Maybe not. I think it's about the same. It's probably just this that's holding it up, but I don't know. Like, none of this has got that shit in it. That just annoys me a little bit to have to do it. Like the main piece of the floor did have some bracing in it, which is understandable. And I put that one piece there, and it seems to be quite good and strong now with that extra catch on the piece catch in the back. And that's why I wanted to put this here, so that had a bit extra strength to catch at the front too. So these two pieces weren't flexing hips individually, yeah, and causing silly issues. But I'm a bit begrudging to put a big massive extra frickin' hunk on here. It kind of defeats the purpose of the floorboard. It does, but it doesn't, you know. It's not how it would have been to make it stronger. It's kind of annoying because it's so springy. Yeah, just don't know. Kind of annoys me a little bit. Yeah, it flexes so much. Pushes down its wheels. And I've commented earlier a few times, it's worked out well. So I want to screw around with it and then be annoyed with it and pull it off again, you know what I mean? I'll think about it, I think. I'll think about it. I think I'll think about it. It's bugging me a little bit, just having to double it up like that, when it was never like that, originally. Righty guys, so I've been mucking around here for a while. You know, there's the little locks that go on the floor. And what it is, I've put a wee nick in here with the grinder, with the fat cutting disc, just into the wood to see whether the things would catch, because I put these holes in the original places on the other one. I'll grab the other board wherever it is, or the original one. Around here, yeah, there. So these are in the same place because I laid this over the top and I marked it out and drew where they were. So they're about as close as I can get. You know, they probably could have been different, wouldn't have mattered too much, you know what I mean? But I tried to get them in the same position. But the problem is now is thinking that they might have hooked in, but these are a bit short. They catch the wood, but when they're around flat, they're not locking. So I'm thinking of maybe getting a little piece of angle iron or something like that. All these little things that take time to make shit. I don't want to use a piece of that because it's good, but I just wonder if I've got a short piece of that big stuff somewhere. I wonder. Must have somewhere. I've been mucking around with bits and pieces. When I made that stuff, when I cut that up for that, what did I do with the rest of that? I remember having a piece left over. Ah, there. Just wonder if I can make something out of a bit of that. Now I'm going to cut this way down, obviously, but have a little piece so I can have a piece there and have a cut it up. But have it so I've got a couple of tabs in here, obviously shorten it up so the thing can go down past it. But have a couple of tabs in here that it can actually click underneath and lock on. So it needs to be a reasonable sort of length to clear the sweep of these things. So it doesn't have to be too long, but probably big enough to go around that. But have it so this is, so you push this down, obviously it's on a spring, it doesn't move very easy at the moment, but you push that down and it will pop up over that piece and lock in, because this is basically flush with that board when it's round, sort of coming like that, it's sort of catching, but then by the time it's straight it's not catching, and you can just pull the thing out. You want to be able to lock that full piece of floor in, so I'm thinking where the thickness of this is, it's probably about right. I'll put you on the tripod so I can do this with 2 hands. One-handed life. We'll come back in a minute. Alrighty, hopefully I can get a decent shot here, showing you what I'm trying to do anyway, but you got to push this up to turn it, right? So obviously when this button, so this here obviously sits down in, it sits like that, it goes like that, poke through the hole, and obviously you push it down and twist it to lock it in. So when it's locked in, it's probably down about the level of this or a little bit below it. You know, it's not going to hurt if it's a little bit lower. And my idea is to use a little bit of this, like I'm going to have to chop it up heaps. But sort of thing, but back here, so I'm going to have to use a piece of this and try and drill a couple of holes in close, cut this, a lot of this away, and have it start just catching edges. I'm hoping, and probably might even have to cut a lot of this actually off it and just have like a little thin piece where this comes up, butts up against there. So I'm going to have to, obviously I've got about that much room to play with, if you know what I mean. I need to sit this back in and mark along here, see where it sits, and see how much of this I can get to sneak underneath this once you're out of the way. And I'm going to have to force it down and twist it around to get it all to lock in, and have a piece that I can screw to that wood, to the wooden frame, and then make 2 of them. It's the only way I can sort of see to make it work, because I was hoping that I was just going to cut a slot in there and that little piece was going to come around and hook in enough, you know. I was hoping it might have been in, you know, like an 1/8 inch or 1/4 of an inch just to catch it, to lock it in, but that's not going to happen, unfortunately. It might catch on the other side, I don't know, I haven't got that one in yet. But this one definitely doesn't catch. Kind of, but not really, if you know what I mean. So I'm about to push it down, screw it around and lock it in. If I can get a couple of tabs to come down here, I can put a decent bloody screw in there so that it can't come off, and just have it stick out here a little bit to catch it, is what I'm thinking. And make it out of that, so it's solid. That, and I haven't got anything else really to make it out of. I could make it out of a bit of that plate. I could bend a bit of that plate up instead of using that. I could use some scrap off that plate here, which is about half that thickness. I've got some bits of shit floating out here somewhere. Yeah, I could probably use that. Which will I'll probably get a couple out of here if I just cut some bits up. There's probably enough in that. So that's about It's about half that thickness, so that would probably be better. That's probably a bit overkill. I was thinking that because it was right angles, but this might be better. I'll get a couple of pieces out of that. Whether we measure up, I might find a bit of cardboard and just have a rough make-up of what I think I need. Do a bit of CAD and see if I can work out just exactly roughly what I need, and then make it out of a bit of half decent thick steel, so I know it's not going to bend up and break off. You know what I mean? That bit there will do. That bit there will do. So I'll get rough designing, I think, and then I'll sit it back in and slip it underneath and have a wee rough test. Alright, so I just realised it's bloody lunchtime, so I'm trying to get this thing worked out. That blue line that you can see, which is a pen, is where the frame of the car is in the timber. I could cut into the timber if I need to, but I'm trying to avoid that. So I'm just got this bent, and I'm trying to get it in as far as I can, if you know what I mean. Hopefully I can try and get inside the thing. What I might do is actually cut a little slice out of this so I can slide this piece in there a bit further so I can screw this onto the side of wood, but I actually freaking trying to bend this and like alter it and whatever, modify I think I've cracked one of those pieces, so I might have to put a bit of weld in there or something like that just to make it a bit stronger. But yeah, I think if I just nip this back a little bit so it slots in, and then I can still screw it into the timber with a couple of screws anyway. I might chop this way back yet, I don't know, I'm just working on it. So it'll sit here something like this, I guess. So it hooks on, so that piece comes down and hooks underneath it. Yeah, so I need to shorten this up a little bit, but yeah, kind of get the gist. So I'll keep working on that after lunch. And yeah, I'm not even sure if I'm going to need one on the other side. I'll have to sit down and mark the other side, but I think it will actually catch the timber, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. But I could have like drilled the holes a little bit further this way, but I was trying to make it exactly what this was, but then they've redone the wood. You know, they possibly haven't allowed for that, because I guess they probably would have just put a slot in that wood. They had the wood close and they had just a groove into it. But anyway, I'm going to go for my lunch, so I'll close the doors here and pull the door down and go have some lunch, I guess. Alrighty, so I made that, but really it's kind of too loose. It's not thick enough to do what I really want. It's not pulling that spring down enough, unless I jam it down in there and pull it down lower, like space it out before I put it in. I could do that. So yeah, I'd like this thing when it's locked in to be sitting down there like that, but if I do that, and this is like, I've got to have it so I'd have to try and get it spaced way down like this, you know what I mean? To even get anything like that. Yeah, I'm just, I don't know whether to make it out of that thicker piece or whether I space it down and put a couple of layers of shit in there before I screw it on, like drill some holes and screw it on. I don't know. It's frustrating me. I don't want to be doing this shit 3 or 4 times. Just once you drill a hole, you drill a hole. And wood. It's not like freaking steel, you can weld it up. Wooden cars. I don't think I'll work on too many more. Oh yeah. Should have went with my instincts for a start, but I thought, oh yeah, that'll stuff be right, but I probably should have made out this other stuff because it's heaps thicker. Just replicate that in this. I think I might try it. See you shortly.